3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL podcast. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls, episode 9. Today we're doing an AFC discussion with a focus on the AFC West and the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason for that is because we have a special guest on the show today. We talked about him last week on the show. He is our left-handed quarterback. He is our childhood friend, and he's our Chiefs expert, Lincoln Cook. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, y'all. It is a pleasure. As someone who is familiar with one person on this podcast's balls, taking snaps and getting a good hand feel underneath there, I would love to occasionally be the honorary Justin Hall to the 6 balls that are already on this podcast. The one extra so often as you need a little Chiefs analysis. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fun fact, I had that in my notes as well. That you were familiar with one of the 2 of the 6 balls on the show. That made my notes as well. Yes. That's so great. I love this.
It's fantastic.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring it up or not.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on with us today, Lincoln. We appreciate it. It's good to have you. Again, we're going to focus on the AFC and the AFC West specifically. So we'll get started with that. We've got a few questions for Lincoln, and we're going to go through these teams in the AFC West, talk about what they did in the draft and the offseason, and what might happen in the division this coming season.
Joel, I'm going to pause you there. I'm jumping in. I'm taking over.
Go for it.
In analyzing your guys' takes and listening from day one, first off, I love that you guys are doing this. It makes me so happy. Just hearing your voices. I haven't seen any of you guys in years, so it's just fun for me to hear my old buddies' voices. I love that Joel has become the stats guy. I love that Will is the trenches guy. He's the only one who actually gives like shout-outs to the trenches, and he's the one that you guys turn to for actual playing experience. So shout out Will and your center skills. I can't remember if you played much defense, but most of
don't forget his balls.
They didn't trust me to stop the ball. They
Don't
barely
worry.
trust me to snap the ball.
I was just thankful he wasn't like Tanner Tolis and didn't wear a cup. That legitimately did happen 7th grade Colts football. And then I love that Avery's here to look pretty and crack jokes every so often. So
We all have our
That's what I
roles.
bring.
And we
I
try
bring
to
the
play
vibes.
them.
Nothing else.
We actually have a video that's going to be coming out. Well, probably will already be out by the time this is posted on Instagram. I'm the stats guy, Avery's the vibes guy, and Will's the haircut hater.
well, it's too bad because I have the mullet and mustache combo. That's what single dads do, midlife or quarter life crisis. Speaking of haircuts, though, I work in accounting. I don't know if you guys know this. I recently changed jobs and I work for a private airline, and a new client of ours is Mark Davis.
Oh, really?
So we just signed him and the Raiders to be partners with our company, and so we do all their private flights. And fun fact, Will, Mark Davis does bring on a private barber every single flight and gets his haircut every day.
No
That
way.
poor
So
guy's
this is
paid
it.
way
This
too
is it.
much.
Way.
This is intentional.
No way.
This is an intentional thing that he does.
No, he doesn't actually do that, but he does get it cut.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
But it is intentional, though, and that's
It
the real
is, yeah.
travesty.
He does get
like,
it cut frequently to keep the
to keep the short bangs and
Yeah, you can't have the short bangs going past the mid forehead. You got to keep it right there.
Yeah, there's an itchy point there.
So you're going to be able to get him on our show, right?
Of course. Well,
Cool.
no promises, but I'll do it.
Okay. Okay.
Too late.
I'll take that.
Too late. We're gonna cut the no promises. All we're gonna have is, of course,
Yeah.
you heard it here.
No hyperbole. This has to be the one podcast he would not want to go on because we focus on that. Of all the podcasts, big or small, this is the one he would not go on.
You probably would like the attention to it. That's why I have a mullet.
He'd probably tell his sob story about how he keeps it cut that way because it was that way because that's the way his dad did it, and his dad and grandpa were his best friend, and his grandpa had the same haircut. Probably tell that sob story, and I feel bad about it, hearing from him specifically. But now I don't feel bad about it, even though that's a real story.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, I'm glad we were able to knock that out of the way just right at the beginning there. I'm sure it'll come up again later.
Yeah.
Though. All right. So this first question, it's open to all 3 of you guys. In 40 games that Patrick Mahomes has played against the AFC West, what is his win-loss record in those 40 games?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 7 losses, 33. It's either 33 or 34 wins.
35.
Okay, sorry. I was
35-5. So he's won 87.5% of his games against the AFC West.
Yeah,
That's
insane.
pretty good.
So he has a 13-1 record against the Broncos, a 10-2 record against the Chargers, and a 12-2 record against the Raiders.
Which one of those was an abomination on Christmas Day? Andy Reid has a 56-15 record against the AFC West as the Chiefs coach. That's insane.
Hey, what now? 56 and what?
15.
Jeez.
He's their daddy.
Yeah.
Big daddy.
I mean, Big Red. We got to love him.
The reason I bring that up is because this last season was probably the most competitive we've seen the AFC West in the last several years. Over the last, 8 seasons since Patrick Mahomes was a rookie in 2017, there's only been 5 total double-digit win teams in that division, aside from the Chiefs. So 2 last year, the 2022 Chargers, the 2021 Raiders, and the 2018 Chargers, and that's it. Those are the only double-digit win teams in the division, aside from the Chiefs, since Patrick Mahomes came into the league. So, follow-up question, who do you think can challenge the Chiefs for the division title this season?
Let me put my Chiefs hat on here. Make sure I'm ready to go with my takes. You guys already glazed the balls of the other 3 AFC West teams in your draft recaps, and rightfully so. All 3 teams had good drafts, and I think the Chiefs did too. I don't know if there's too many teams that had quote-unquote bad drafts, right? Everybody comes out of the draft feeling like, oh yeah, we did super well. Whoever had the take on the Browns, Avery, was that you? That they had a good draft? No, wrong.
Yeah,
first off.
they did.
I agree with Avery. I agree.
They did.
It's garbage. It's garbage.
Are you talking about the quarterback situation?
I'm talking about the entire Browns organization is garbage. But,
Oh, I didn't say they were great. What are you talking? Don't put that in me. I'm talking about the draft. In fact, we had predetermined to decide that their draft was going to be bad. Like Joel had to text us in our chat saying like, "Hey," like Will was like, "Hey, I'll talk about the Browns. That's going to be garbage." And then Joel's like, "Dude, I don't know if this is going to be bad. Like this is actually looking pretty decent."
I mean,
they'll fumble it. They'll fumble it 100%. But
when you have the most picks, that doesn't mean you had the best draft. Let's just leave that
I don't
there.
care about
The players they got though were ranked super high. Like all the players they got were ranked super high. And
But they took 2 quarterbacks, one of which being a lefty because lefties suck, and the other one being Shadur Sanders, who sucks. So
they also took 2 running backs. They went quarterback, running back. I mean, not in this order specifically, but 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs.
Do I have to redo my whole case from last week?
I mean,
no, we can leave that where it is. Back to your original question, Joel. I think all 3 AFC West teams outside of the Chiefs made good improvements this offseason, and the biggest improvement in those 3 teams is obviously the Raiders, and it's purely because of their head coach. They finally have a competent head coach. Granted, their GM or whatever, president of football operations, still has the worst haircut in the league, but they hired someone who can actually turn them from a crappy Oakland team to a potential competitive ball club this year in Las Vegas. So I think the Raiders made the biggest leap. However, I still think the Chiefs are a tier above all 3 teams, but it's going to be a competitive division across the board.
Oakland catching strays there.
Well, that's just pretty standard.
I mean,
Oakland.
their stadium.
Most of their citizens are catching strays too.
Their stadium did flood constantly and had leaks in the players' locker room, so it's just
The field looked like a baseball diamond too.
It was a baseball
Weird.
diamond.
It was for a long time. So in the AFC West, we have the top 3 teams, right? We've got the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos. All 3 of them ranked in the top 10 in the NFL last year. I think it's safe to say slow decline of the Chiefs over the last 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 may be too many. 2-3 years, if nothing else.
I mean, they did go to 3 straight Super Bowls. So if you
Sure.
wanna call that a decline, that's fine.
Sure. But overall, they had a point differential of like 59 last year. They scored 59 more points than they allowed. As the rest of the division gets better, when 6 of your 17 games are against those teams, I mean, the ball bounces in a different way, and all of a sudden you're no longer 15-2, you're 9-8. You ask the question, who can do it? I think any of them can. You made a good point about the Raiders, and they're finally having a head coach, and, well, they drafted a decent running back, potentially. The problem they're going to have is quarterback problems. So, I don't know. I think that division is more wide open this year than it has been in the previous years.
Wide open is still a bold statement.
Sure.
Also, shout out to Boise State. That is my alma mater, by the way.
BSU.
I don't think it's that bold to say it's wide open. I mean, I get they were 5-1 in the division last year, but the Chargers were 4-2. And I don't think the Chargers-Chiefs games were huge point differential games. The ball bounces differently one way, and it didn't happen, right? It didn't happen that way The ball bounced the Chiefs' way a lot last year. And it's going to get brought up. I do not subscribe to the fact that the refs are on the Chiefs' side. That's just a bunch of hogwash.
Except for in the AFC Championship
That's
game.
a bunch
100%
of hogwash and garbage.
I just would like to point out, and Will, thank you for supporting me. And I almost wore my Chiefs jersey, which is black and white striped. I almost wore it today. In the AFC Championship game, regardless if you think Josh Allen was short or if he got the first down, that play was still like there was so much ball game left. So trying to bring it down to one play makes no difference. We all know.
Right.
Well, there is that Xavier Worthy catch that wasn't a catch. Ball hit the ground.
I think if the refs were really, really, really on the Chiefs' side, then they would have won all of the Super Bowls that they were in. That one where Chris Jones jumped off sides, they would have never called that.
You mean D Ford?
I don't care. I truly don't care who it was. When a Chiefs player jumped off sides on 4th down or 3rd down, whatever it was, right at the end of the game, jumped off sides, sealed the win for the Patriots.
Well, that was because they were playing Tom Brady.
Yes.
So, of course, they were going to rig it in Tom Brady's favor.
It doesn't necessarily matter. Had they really been in the Chiefs' favor for as long as people have said they have been, then that would have never happened. It would be more obvious, and there's too many moving parts in the NFL for it to be as rigged as people say it is. I'm not saying there's not inherent biases, because everyone's just people, right? As a referee myself, you get on the field, some kid steps on my foot wrong, I'm going to have an inherent bias against that kid. Like, okay, you could have walked around me and you stepped on me.
Yeah.
I may pay closer attention to you than I probably would have otherwise. That doesn't mean I'm going to throw the game because of that. Your own integrity is higher than that. And I think that goes that way for the refs as well against the Chiefs.
You know you're great. You know you've made it when people start accusing the refs of helping you.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you know. That's when you know.
Our whole childhood, and you guys can attest.
I was gonna bring this up.
The Patriots were the team that just won everything, right? They seemed so lucky, right? And we're all like, oh, of course they're gonna get all the benefits, blah blah blah, like Tom Brady cheating, all this stuff. But I do believe that the better you are, the luckier you get, right? So if you're more prepared, if you work harder, if you have the better head coach, if you have the better quarterback, like those inherent things lead to success because they build confidence within the organization. I firmly believe that that's a real thing that the Chiefs have that almost nobody else in the AFC has. Like the Bills are close, the Ravens are close, but they don't quite have that because they have not taken down the Chiefs. So therefore the Chiefs still are their daddy, more or less.
It is true. It is true.
Just to clarify, I don't actually think it's rigged. It's just a fun story.
It is.
So, yeah. But there are times, I will say, there are times where there's no other explanation other than the referee rigged it. Not just with the Chiefs. Like, one example is with this, I don't remember what year it was, but the year that the Saints and Rams played, I think it was the NFC Championship game. And it was that no call on pass interference. There's no other explanation. There's no other explanation other than the ref rigged that game. There's no other explanation.
Hey, gross incompetence. You can't rule out gross incompetence.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Or the ref just didn't see it.
How? He was standing right in front of it.
As a ref,
Maybe.
myself, again, sorry to bring it up twice, it is a lot harder to see plays when they're right in front of you. It is so much easier to see them halfway across the field because your field of vision is so much wider. When it's right in front of your face and it's right here, it is so much harder to see because you don't believe what you just saw because it was that close. Did I really just see that guy take that guy out? No, there's no possible way. They must have had their feet tangled. That must have been clean. There's no way.
I was standing right here. There's no way he did it in front of me.
Honestly, though, you get in that mindset.
I mean, I will say, Will, other than somebody literally pulling you down, when you're playing, you don't notice somebody else's penalty. You're focused on the thing that you're doing right in front of you.
Right.
That was the most obvious pass interference I've ever
seen.
It was. And then it changed the rules for the next season, just like the Bills go and lose to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, go and complain about it to the NFL, get the rules changed. You know, Chiefs didn't do that when they lost to the Patriots. I'm just going to say that. So screw you, Bills Mafia. Bring me all the heat. I'll take it.
I mean, the Lions tried to do that too.
I do want to say something. For Lincoln, for most people watching, there's a lot of Chiefs fans out there. Lincoln has been a Chiefs fan since what, 04? When I met you? I remember you were like, dude, I know all the Chiefs players. And I'm like, who are the Chiefs? I wasn't even following the NFL. And he's like naming them off. I'm like, dude, you're just naming names. I don't know who these people are. And then I like asked later, I'm like, why do you like the Chiefs? You're like, I don't know. Like everyone likes the Seahawks. I wanted to pick my own team. I picked the Chiefs. He picked them at the very bottom. He bought low to sell high. Everyone gave him crap for years. 4 years. Always terrible. And then they come up, and everyone else starts crowding in saying, I've been a Chiefs fan. I've been a Chiefs fan the whole time. No, Lincoln had to bleed. He was in the rebellion. He was taking shots. And then at the end, he gets a full-on dynasty to be rewarded with.
I've never been so lucky in my life.
Beautiful.
I mean, I may have gone through divorce, but like it's all worth it because I've been the Chiefs are a dynasty now, so it's all cool, right?
That makes up for it.
No, do you want to know the story behind it, Avery?
I would love to.
Madden 2000 on the N64, Eli Bond's house. We had
Some old
there's a
games
name.
going on here.
There's a name for you. It was the Tanner Morgan's Madden 2000. I still have it. It says Morgan across it.
Stole it. Nice.
Everyone was either Seahawks or 49ers fans. I didn't want to be like everybody else. So I just picked a random team in Madden, and they were the Chiefs. I destroyed Eli, so I thought, oh, this team must be really good. Granted, they had Priest Holmes, Tony Gonzalez, Dante Hall, and an all-pro offensive line, so they were kind of good in Madden. And I was like, wow, this team must be amazing. But I am loyal to a fault and stuck with them through all the crappy years, even though I could only watch highlights and never watch an actual game because they weren't good enough to be put on national television or Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football or anything.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. I mean, it's been since before they won their first Super Bowl with Mahomes, it was like 50 years since they won a Super Bowl. Is that right?
Yeah. 50 years since they had even been to the AFC Championship, except for the year before that. And then they haven't missed the AFC Championship in Mahomes' starting career, which is honestly one of the most bonkers stats of all.
Well, maybe we'll get that lucky one day. Maybe.
There
As
is.
soon as Jerry
Probably not,
died,
though. Probably
As
not.
soon
They
as-
did it. They did it for 4 years
Jerry
straight.
died.
4 years straight they did it. They played the Bills. Oh, no, I'm talking about the Bills. No, my bad.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Bills.
And then lost every Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I will say, can you guys think of any Chiefs highlights memories from our childhood? Like I bet none of you can think of a single thing other than maybe Jamal Charles's 5-touchdown game against the Raiders.
I mean, the only thing
They
I can ever
weren't
think
televised. I
about,
don't remember anything.
the only thing I ever think about with the Chiefs is just Tony Gonzalez dunking the ball over the uprights.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That's just all I.
That's
That's the
about
only
it,
thing I ever
really.
think about.
So back to some AFC West. And Avery, I guess I'll point this question to you. Broncos and Chargers are both quarterbacked by University of Oregon, former University of Oregon quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, who do you think has the higher ceiling and can actually make a difference to threaten the Chiefs, as kind of Joel questioned earlier?
I think Herbert is clearly the better quarterback at the moment, and I think he might. I don't know. I love Bo Nix. I hated him when he was at Auburn, which made me like him when he was at Oregon because I hated him. And he's one of those guys that, I mean, I've been following him. Dude is a professional. There's a lot of professional football players. This man is a professional regardless of football. And I see him with Sean Payton, and I drafted him in my fantasy league, and I also had Herbert. And I picked him like last.
Oh, okay.
Back in 2012, I picked Cam Newton last at Brandon Sprague and Jordan Johansson's draft, and they all laughed. And I had Tom Brady. I ended up benching Brady for Newton. I got Bo Nix, and I had both quarterbacks on my team. And every week I would see Herbert's stats dropping a little bit and Nix's raising. But I could never get myself to start Nix. And then I had everyone get hurt, Pacheco, Hill. And I ended up having to like pick up some more people, and I ended up dropping Nix, and that's when he started doing a lot better. But I think I like to think he's got a better ceiling. He reminds me a little bit of Breeze. He's a different player, but I see him as one of those guys. He's a family man. He's there to more than just, I just love the game, or, you know, I'm really good at it. I see it as like, this is my thing. Like this is like I need to provide, I need to work, and he does work. I think with Peyton, and then in the right situation, it could change. It could kind of screw him, but I think his ceiling is higher than Herbert.
I actually disagree with you. However, I think that Herbert is capped by Harbaugh's team. So I think you might be right in terms of currently, because Sean Payton is Bo Nix's head coach, and Sean Payton is going to let the quarterback distribute the ball, and they'll always be at worst a 7-win team because that's how they were with Sean Payton and Nolans. But the Chargers with Harbaugh are always going to be a run-first offense. They drafted Amari Hampton in the first round, right?
Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, he's a good player. I love the pick. A little bit envious of Amari Hampton and Ashton Genty coming to the AFC West. It's a little bit tough. But like they're going to run the ball first. And so I think that Herbert's ceiling is capped currently, but I just think he's a much better quarterback. He has the capacity. If he had Andy Reid as his quarterback, I think he'd be in contention for first team All-Pro or second team All-Pro.
I can see that. I think a lot of my decision kind of comes down to the situation.
Yeah.
As with most quarterbacks, honestly, really just comes down to the situation you're put in. But I've liked Sean Payton for a while, and I think Bo Nix is just really, really special. I hope he gets the tools he needs. Like if he was drafted by the Browns, I'm sure he'd already be like passed around. I mean, he's only been in there for one. He's passed around, yeah. But you guys get it, you know.
Yeah.
Like every Browns quarterback.
I mean, I will say to Justin Herbert's side, I love Ladd. I also love Lamp. So I may be a little bit more partial to the Chargers, but also I don't like Sean Payton, so I have a hard time rooting for them. And as someone who lives in the Denver metro area, I will say, and this is very rare to see, Broncos fans, like, expectations are tempered, which is so strange. Like they are viewing this Bo Nix, Sean Payton era very cautiously. They're like, you know what, we're not going to get our hopes up too high. We're just going to kind of let it build and see where this goes. Because after Russell Wilson, everyone was just, oh, Broncos are going to take down the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. And,
That's right.
And it was absolute horse trash. So I think Broncos fans are kind of tempering their expectations. So the vibe around Denver is like, hey, last year was a great year. We grew and whatever. So, I mean, I think you're potentially right that Bo Nix might have the better season next year. But I think the Chargers long term, because I just don't trust Sean Payton either, are built better. They're built in the trenches more so than the Broncos are.
What a W for the Denver fans. Good for them. Like, hey, let's see how we do.
And to also get rid of Russell Wilson. There was a literal cloud lifted off the city when they got rid of Russell Wilson.
I think the Broncos are the biggest contender to unseat the Chiefs in the AFC West, in my opinion.
This year or long term?
This year. If there's going to be one team to do it this year, I would pick the Broncos. So last year, they had the most sacks in the NFL. They led the league with 63. They had two guys who had double-digit sacks. They have the reigning defensive player of the year. They just drafted Jahdae Barron out of Texas, who won the award in college football for the best defensive back. So they add him to an already really good secondary where you already have a really good pass rush. And they improved their offense. Bo Nix is going to get better. So I think they have a shot. I mean, I don't think they're going to unseat the Chiefs, but I think if there's any team to do it, I think it's going to be the Broncos.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that you're wrong. I don't love their draft, though. I love their pick out of Texas. What was the name again?
Jahdae Barron.
Jahdae Barron. Stud. Love that pick. What else did they do in the rest of their draft? They did get Talanoa Hufanga, who I love, and they signed Dre Greenlaw, which we'll see if he can come back from his Achilles. So they made a couple of nice defensive signings to an already solid defense. But
So they drafted RJ Harvey out of UCF in the second round, running back. He was one of 6 running backs in college football to rush for 20 or more touchdowns last year. And then it doesn't matter. He rushed for 20 touchdowns. That's impressive regardless.
That's like saying I scored 20 touchdowns when I played for the Colts in 7th grade. Like,
if they're all your same size and age, that is impressive.
That's like saying Tom Brady won the AFC East every year of his career because he played in the AFC East.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that is
kind of a good
NFL
point.
football. But yes, he was in a soft division, which is accurate.
Very soft. Very soft.
Yeah.
And then in the third round, they picked up a wide receiver, Pat Bryant, out of Illinois, who had 54 catches for 984 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he averaged 18.2 yards a carry or a catch. So that's not bad for a third-round receiver. Not saying he's going to be a star or anything, but that adds an element to their offense. So I didn't love their draft, but I didn't hate it either. I think they picked up some good players.
And I just don't love their offensive weapons. Like, they got Evan Ingram. That's okay. I think that's fine. I think he'll be a Jared Cook level tight end like he was for Drew Brees. But I don't know. I just don't feel like they didn't make like a big move. They don't have like that go-to guy when the game is on the line. Who is Bo Nix going to throw to? Cortland Sutton? I don't know.
No, who's the other Oregon receiver they got? No, they have one. It's what's his name? I can't remember.
Exactly.
That guy.
Troy Franklin?
No,
Troy Franklin.
Holden's with Dallas.
They got
Franklin.
Hey, it's Franklin. That's what they say.
Yeah, Troy
I
Franklin.
like Troy Franklin. I liked him at Oregon.
I do too,
I
but
don't.
when the
I haven't
game's on the
actually
line,
followed him
who are they
much
gonna go
at
to?
Denver.
You know what I mean? All these games, the Chiefs won all these games by close margins because they came in clutch, because Mahomes had the ball in his hand. Bo Nix could do that, yeah, but I just don't know who he's going to go to, who his targets are that are going to deliver them in the end of the game. That's just me.
I mean, you could kind of make the same case for Mahomes. I know he has Kelsey, but aside from Kelsey, what, you're going to throw to Juju Smith-Schuster?
Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy. What? Rashee Rice is a boss. I mean, other than the fact that he's going to get suspended for a few games this year.
I said he was hurt. He was hurt.
Oh, yeah, last year he was.
Which I was pissed off about because he was crushing it on my fantasy team until Patrick Mahomes had to go and hurt his own receiver.
I know. It was a shame.
It was.
Can I throw a question to the group? Does anybody believe in Geno Smith?
No.
Yes. But only if the question is he a good enough placeholder for a team?
Yeah, like, I love what the Raiders did this offseason. I think their trajectory is actually fantastic. Like, it's kind of fun to see. And I love who are their two tight ends? Why am I spacing on?
Brock Bowers.
And who's
Michael
their
Mayer.
Yeah, Michael Mayer, who I think is still a stud, which they might even trade him to get some solid capital back. I think they've got a lot of people in place to build for the future, except for their wide receivers, but they just need a quarterback. So I was a little surprised to see them not draft a quarterback early on. But didn't they draft somebody like Will Howard or somebody?
No, he went to the
No,
Steelers.
Will Howard's in the Steelers.
They did draft a quarterback, but they drafted him in
Cam Miller,
yeah,
North Dakota State. That's right.
Yeah. In the 6th round.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that Pete Carroll wanted Geno makes me like that a little bit more.
Yeah.
The fact that he was willing to go out and get him, I was like, hey, look, if you made a concerted effort to go get him, maybe he is that guy for you, at least now.
I was going to say that as well, Avery, that Geno Smith is the perfect quarterback for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll doesn't want to throw the ball 15 times a game. Just look at how he was in Seattle. They didn't throw the ball until they were losing in the 4th quarter.
Well, they threw the ball when they should have ran.
Until they were on the 1 yard line.
One time on the 1 yard line. Yeah.
Wait, what are we referring to right now? What happened?
Richard Sherman's face on that will forever be an amazing meme.
That was the greatest. That was the greatest face I've ever seen.
Yeah. Pete Carroll is a run. He's the NFL's equivalent to the wing T offense.
Oh,
honestly,
I love the wing T, Will. I love it so much.
It's run, play action, run, play action. It's basically power right, belly left, waggle right. It's all they're doing all day long, and occasionally they're throwing in the reverse. That's all Pete Carroll does out there.
What about the crisscross?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, double reverse, right? That's all Pete Carroll wants to do, but he can't do it in the wing T in the NFL anymore. And so he does it in their spread. Let's spread it out and run it anyway. And so I think Geno Smith's going to be a great quarterback for that system. He's not if he was on the Chiefs, he would have a terrible season. If he was on the Bills or somebody who doesn't have an established run-first quarter or coach, he would be a terrible quarterback. But on a team that wants to run 90% of the time, Geno is your guy. He's a great guy for that.
He looks good while they're running it.
I believe in Geno Smith enough to make the offense better than the 4th worst scoring offense in the NFL. They scored 18.2 points a game.
I mean, it's hard to be worse than that in theory.
It is, but I think he's going to make their offense better. And their defense ranked 15th in total yards allowed, 15th in passing yards allowed, and 13th in rushing yards allowed, which is pretty good considering that their offense was the 4th worst offense in the league. So their defense deserves a lot more credit than they got last season. And so if Geno Smith can even be somewhat capable, if he can take that offense to being middle of the pack, that defense is going to get better because they were already middle of the pack with the worst offense.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that you have a crappy offense, your defensive statistics and numbers are going to look worse. So having a fourth worst offense and a middle of the pack defense really kind of shows that they're like a fringe top 10 defense and probably like 10 to 12 defense. So if their offense improves, then yeah, their defense might have also improved. To that point, what do you guys think of the Chiefs defense? Do you think it got better or worse than last year?
It's hard to be better than they were last year because they were pretty dang good. I mean, that's the reason they made it to the Super Bowl, is their defense. I mean, their offense ranked in the bottom half of the league.
For the majority of the year, yeah.
Yeah.
They have Chris Jones under contract. Then they drafted Omar Norman-Lott, which a lot of draft analysts were actually really high on him, whereas I don't know how well he fits in the Chiefs team for a rotational interior pass rusher from Tennessee. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they drafted Ashton Gelati, which he's like friends with Purdue rusher George Karlaftis. So I think the Chiefs actually got a little bit better with some young depth. And then they signed Christian Fulton, who played for the Chargers last year as a rotational defensive back. And they drafted another late round cornerback in Noel Williams out of Cal, who led the FBS in interceptions this last year. So
Will's favorite guy. Will doesn't like him.
Dude, have you watched his highlights, Noel Williams?
I've watched some, but I do know who Will does like, and that's Josh Simmons.
He does like Josh Simmons.
Yeah, but hold on here.
Enough.
That's great. That's great. Like I said, if Josh Simmons can stay healthy, he's the guy you want anchoring that blind side for sure. But no Williams.
We'll come back to that.
That dude is a liability. If you trust him on defense, you're going to get burned just horribly. He is a he had so many interceptions, all of them overthrown.
So the Diggs, right?
Overthrown or tip balls. Yeah, Diggs is a liability. Either he gets beat or he's getting an interception. There is no in between. It is bust or boom or bust. Same thing with Noah Williams. And the problem is that his boom is somebody else tipping a ball to him or a quarterback overthrowing a pass and he just happens to be there. That's his boom. And obviously that can be coached out, but I think that people got entranced by the numbers and didn't watch the play because he doesn't pass the eye test to me.
I mean, to add to that point, I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said, but ball skills and hard pause right there. Ball skills are one of the hardest things to teach at the professional level. Either you have ball skills or you don't. Either you know how to go track down and catch the ball or you don't.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing that.
But the fact that he knows how to get to where the ball is and make plays, it's just like something that you just innately have. Whereas he's going to be working with Trent McDuffie, who, if not for Patrick Surtain having an all-pro season, Trent McDuffie would have been probably one of the top 3 corners in the NFL last year, consensus-wise. And then the Chiefs have a young secondary, so there's obviously parts to it. But they are bringing back everybody except for Justin Reed. So I think bringing him into an already semi-established secondary, refining, honing skills, and learning from one of the best in the NFL in Trent McDuffie, I don't know if it's that crazy of a swing to take someone who does have highs and lows like that.
And here's what I will say about the Chiefs defense. Last season, they allowed the 8th least rushing yards per game with 101.8. But in order for them to be better than they were last season, they need to keep their run defense intact because the offenses in this division got better at running the ball.
Correct. And part of why the Chiefs' run defense did look as good as it did was because they would get out to a faster start than most teams, and so they had a lead, so teams weren't running the ball as much. They were throwing it later in the game. That's just game management right there. But based on Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll, they're both going to be trying to run the ball, even in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, that's going to be a huge factor, which I don't know if the Chiefs got better in their run defense. They did draft Jeffrey Bassa, Avery, out of Oregon. Which... he's more of a coverage backer, but I think he's like a Willie Gay replacement for us.
Can we switch to offense real quick? I'm curious, Lincoln, what you think of Rashard Smith out of SMU. Because the Chiefs drafted him in the 7th round, and he was the running back for SMU's college football playoff team.
Yeah.
He had 14 touchdowns. He had over 1,300 rushing yards. So I'm curious what you think of that.
I mean, I think they want him to be a little bit more of that scat back. I mean, they have Mr. Kareem Hunt, which you have to be careful when you say his name to not flip the the K and the H. And then they have Isaiah Pacheco, hopefully healthy this season. So they have 2 bruisers, guys that are just going to run angry and get you 3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? I think this is brought in to be kind of that Jerick McKinnon replacement, that scat back, hopefully third down, working a little bit of pass pro and also catch, check downs when Mahomes is scrambling for his life, because that's what he always does. And then find someone running an angle route out of the backfield, a la Darren Sproles-esque. I don't know if his ceiling is that high, but I think it's a decent swing. And with the running back position, you're not going to pay him anyways, right? Unless it's literally Saquon Barkley. You're not going to pay the running back. So why not take a swing on a former wide receiver turned running back? Because he's only been playing running back for like a year and a half, which is crazy. I think it's a good pick for us. We also took Jalen Royals out of Utah State, who's kind of a Rashee Rice replacement if Rashee Rice does get suspended, which rumors are right now that suspension might be pushed into 2026, which is crazy. But, it wouldn't be a Chiefs wide receiver room without some sort of allegations,
I really like Jalen Royals a lot.
I do too.
When the Chiefs drafted him and he was the best player available on the board, I was like, frick.
Yeah.
They got another good one. And he only played in 7 games last year, but he had 55 catches for 834 yards and 6 touchdowns in 7 games.
It's pretty good. He also only lined up, I want to say it was on the left side, and there were a lot of concerns, which I think is part of why he fell a little bit in the draft, was because he only lined up on one side of the field. But then when he went to the Senior Bowl, he lined up on the other side and showed he's like, okay, it's just based on how our team was set up. I can play both sides. So I think his draft stock fell just a little bit because of that. And then he all of a sudden was like, "Yep, nope, I can do this." And I think it's a good swing. I think you always need to draft late round cornerbacks or secondary players. You always need to draft a wide receiver, and you always need to draft a running back. Like, just late in your drafts, just take a swing on athletes.
And unless you're the Chiefs and you have Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback as well.
Just take Garner Minshew. I love that Garner Minshew's a Chief. It's gonna be so much fun. The content from that is going to be amazing.
Do the Chiefs have the best hair in the quarterback room in the NFL right now?
Well, Mahomes just got it cut, so it's just whether or not you guys think you like his new haircut.
Interesting. I have not seen it, but I'm saying about Gardner Minshew and his flow. And then Mahomes, I don't want to say he started that hair trend, but...
who's the kid out of Dylan Raiola out of Nebraska? Who literally is
exactly like Patrick
He is
Mahomes.
a Mahomes copycat, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I will say the worst thing about the Chiefs are Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes. So
I'm glad you agree at least.
I'm a realist Chiefs fan. We've been extremely blessed, and honestly, the fact that he has kept Brittany and Jackson out of the news as much as he has is a true testament to how amazing Mahomes is.
Well,
if he's not the GOAT, then
he can get his house in order.
Well, after Jackson was
family man, he's
TikTok dancing on that memorial.
Dude, if somebody snipped Jackson Mahomes' Achilles, I would thank them.
Yeah.
I would comment on their Instagram post and say thank you so much. Like, I cannot stand that human being.
We here do not advocate that kind of behavior, but just saying if it happens.
someone will sweep the leg.
How many more years of Travis Kelce do you think you have?
Half
a year?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a fair statement.
I think the legitimate plan is for him to scale back, because he played a higher percentage of snaps this last season than he had the 2 years before. I think pretty much because Rashee Rice went out, and so Mahomes needed somebody that he could trust.
Sure.
They're bringing back their rookie, I guess he's a second-year tight end, spacing on his name. So, Joel, if you want to look that up for me. And then they also still have Noah Gray. They call him a white horse on a sandy beach. So I think they have 2 tight ends.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it's beautiful.
I was going to say, it sounds good, but
just like the way he runs is very majestic.
Oh, got it.
But they're both kind of, I think between the two of them, there will be enough to supplement Kelce, and I think we're going to just scale back Kelce as much as we can and then just ramp him up for the playoffs. Hopefully Taylor can take care of him at home, make sure everything's all squared away and settled there.
Jared Wiley.
I love Jared Wiley. I'm calling it right now. Jared Wiley is going to have more yards than Kelce is this season.
Put it on the spreadsheet, Joel.
I'll put it on our spreadsheet. We have a spreadsheet going of all of our predictions.
Yeah, that's a wild take, but I love Jared Wiley.
So far, Avery's the only one that's gotten one right, but it's the only one that could have been right so far.
It was the only short-term one,
yeah.
And it was that Loveland would go before Warren and within picks 10 and 16, which is oddly specific. I don't know why I said that, honestly.
Very specific.
Like, what a weird thing to
it hit,
bring up.
So
I was very surprised by that, though, so props to you for getting it right. And then, Will, Josh Simmons. What are your thoughts on him?
Yes.
I want to hear more Josh Simmons. I'm just eating it up right now.
So, I mean, he's like the guy you want, right? Josh Simmons?
If he played a full season, do you think he's a top 5 pick in the draft?
In this draft, no.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't. This draft was too... I think stupid, maybe the right word.
I mean, the Jets drafted Armand Membu. I think his tape in the few games that he played in 2024 was better than Membu's. I think there's a legitimate case to be made that he could have been the number 1 tackle off the board if he had been healthy. Granted, that's a very big if. I understand the caveat. I
don't think he's coming off the board before Will Campbell.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Even
probably
after
after Will
season,
Campbell.
I don't think he's coming off. So top 5, no, it's right. We had Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, and then Mason Graham. I don't think the Browns are changing their pick at 5 after trading him. I don't think the Patriots are coming off of Will Campbell. But given a full, healthy season, I mean, he's going to be amazing. The issue is he's got a torn patellar tendon in his left knee. And when you're on the left side of that line, that left knee is pretty important.
I think so.
So there's going to be a big uphill climb to keep up with the NFL speed that they've got on the edge nowadays, especially when your outside leg is destroyed.
The good news is the Chiefs did sign Jalen Moore. I think he's a very low ceiling player, but a decent floor to play that left side. So if Simmons can't come back until midway into the season, or even if he has to take like almost an entire redshirt year, you're not aching to have him rush to come back and play left tackle. Right. So I think you can give him time to learn and develop and heal fully, because that's the last thing you want. But one of the Chiefs analysts who said it on, I want to say, is the Only Weird Games podcast, the Chiefs potentially drafted Patrick Mahomes' last left tackle with this pick. And I about lost my mind.
That's weird to think about.
That is. But if that's accurate, that's pretty incredible, no?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. If he was healthy, I think he probably would have been drafted by the Saints at 9 instead of Kelvin Banks.
Agreed.
I can agree with that.
Anyways, that's just me glazing over Josh Simmons. But thank you, Will, for supporting me there. I love that you give the trenches some love. As pencil neck, as they called us, I love my linemen. You know that.
I don't think neck was the word.
What did I say?
Neck? I don't think pencil neck is the right. I don't think neck's the right word there, pal.
I believe that's what the coaches said, just to be safe.
He's trying to make it nice.
Maybe around you guys. But,
I totally understand.
Your face.
Oh, wait. Did I actually say the other thing?
No. You said neck. Let
Okay.
me tell you, as we're lining up, I don't think they're saying, look at those pencil necks over there. I don't think that's quite how it went where I was playing football.
Well, it was too far away that you couldn't see it, so they could only say neck because that's the only thing you could see from that
There
far
you
away.
go.
Yeah, they all said next. They all said next.
Yeah,
For
but
sure,
as
for sure.
a defensive back and a skill position player, I love my boys in the trenches, as you well know, Will. I always gave my boys love. First thing after scoring a touchdown, go right to the linemen and give them big old loves, because
everybody's getting love.
Yeah.
The reason.
And remind me who our left guard and left tackle were? Or was it right guard and right tackle? The two
Okay.
yes.
Shelley?
So
Yes!
it went
I just threw the name out.
from right to left. It went Dakota Shelley, right tackle.
Oh,
Dylan Starnes, right guard.
Storms.
Me at center. It went, we had kind of a revolving door at left guard, which is too bad, but it ended up being Cody Farrier, left guard, and then
Cody.
Matthew Cuellar, left tackle.
Cuellar. No, but the boys on the right side.
Farrier.
I can't
I
remember when
forgot
they-
that he was that big.
It wasn't.
Was he the smaller guy on that line?
I was actually the smallest person at 6'1", 190, 210 pounds, something like that in high school. I was the smallest person on our offensive line.
Did Cody grow like a bit? Because I remember him. I think in middle school, I just remember him being a little either shorter. I know he was stout,
He was a
but
wrestler.
Yeah, no, he was dense, very dense.
I love Cody, man.
He was muscular. He was a good kid. But yeah, the boys on the right side. I remember when Shelly told me that they did acid once, and I was like, I was a junior in high school. I'm like, wait, what? But I'd always give them love.
Acid on
They took me
themselves?
to go get Subway sometimes. It was fun.
Those guys were crazy.
They were
But
crazy.
you have to be on the strong side of the line.
Not a boy.
You have to be crazy.
Sorry, Joel. I'm
No,
taking off
you're
the
good.
rail.
You're good. I have some questions for you, Lincoln, but Will and Avery, do you have any other questions for him before we move on?
Yeah, I have a non-football question for you. It's about the Chiefs, non-football.
Okay.
What the hell's going on with the Chiefs fans? You got X Factor, right, who's filming himself coming out of a fake hospital with his painted red cheese head on. It says X Factor on it. You got Red Extreme, who I think is in jail right now. That may be wrong. And then most notably, you have Chiefsaholic, who is currently serving a 17-year, 6-month sentence in federal prison for robbing banks to buy Chiefs tickets.
Who are these people?
These are Chiefs super fans. This is not this all the jokes have left the room. This is all real. This is all real life happening. These are all real people going by their real names.
Are these like just like influencer, like Chief?
No,
Like,
not influencers, just crazy fans that made the news.
So this
and they
one
have
guy,
these names. Like this is.
this one guy, Chiefsaholic,
Okay.
robbed banks to buy tickets for Chief games.
Yep.
That's
a true fan.
Wanted to go. The problem is that he would rob banks in
Wearing the
his,
jersey.
Well, kind of actually. So at games he dressed up as the Chiefs wolf, I guess, and would rob banks in the same wolf mask. And so
It's like obvious who it is.
Gonna
Like,
get
we're
caught
looking
here.
for this guy who's made himself on the Jumbotron every single game. Like what?
So my question is do the Chiefs have, I don't want to say the worst fan base in football, but the worst individuals? Because the Eagles are the worst fan base in football. They threw beers at Santa Claus.
100%.
Right.
I mean, Philly fans are just the worst, but also the best somehow.
It's because of their passion. Both
Yeah.
ways. It's because of their passion. But on an individual basis, do you think the Chiefs have some of the worst fans in the NFL?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think they're a victim of success. I think if any team experienced that, you would have just as much insufferable fans. If the
I don't think
49ers,
so.
I hate 49ers fans. They're
We
all
didn't
the
hear
worst.
that. We didn't hear that at all from the Patriots.
Yeah, but that's because everybody up there is all uppity and proper in New England. You know what I mean? People in Kansas City, they're Midwestern, which that doesn't make any sense. They're in Central America. That is not the Midwest.
Well,
Midwest
hold on.
is like
Central America is
Colorado.
Mexico.
You know what I mean?
Central States,
Central America is Mexico and
Okay,
and all of
sorry.
those.
Straight up Honduras.
Central
man.
United States. Oh, my bad.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
But no, I mean they have had the Chiefs for so long and have been terrible for so long, a la Todd Blackledge, Tyler Thigpen, Brody Croyle, Brady Quinn, Matt Castle, all these garbage quarterbacks for years and years and years, and now they are just going nuts because we've had success. So it's, people be people, but also they be crazy.
Right, under the real football.
Yeah.
So we're going to step away from the AFC West for the remainder of the show. And I have another question for you, Lincoln.
Let's go.
So which of these quarterbacks is the biggest threat to unseat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or someone else?
Shador.
No, he said quarterbacks, Avery. You can make the case for any of them, and I will hear it, and I could agree to almost any point. The one that Chiefs Kingdom is most scared of is Joe Burrow, because he's the only one who's actually beaten Mahomes.
In the playoffs.
Correct. Regular season, miss me on that. Like, the Chiefs don't care about the regular season. As you could clearly tell by their terrible record, or not record, they had a good record, but their terrible statistics and all the, like, Mahomes' numbers over the last 3 or 4 years haven't even been great because they don't care. They're just trying to get to the playoffs. All that matters is more rings than Brady. That's all Mahomes cares about, right? So getting there, who's the biggest obstacle? Well, truthfully, the scariest one is Joe Burrow. So for me, that's my answer. I don't know if Avery will have a different take, but that's me.
Just a quick side note before the answer. Mahomes has beaten every team in the league in the regular season and postseason, if you combine those. But there's one team, only one team he hasn't beat in the regular season. Do you know who it is?
The Chiefs.
No, aside from the Chiefs.
Okay.
I did know this.
He's beaten them in the playoffs, but he has not beat them in the regular season. He's 0-2 in the regular season.
Bengals.
The Colts.
Oh, what? Really?
It's the Colts.
That's right.
The Colts are the only team he has not beat in the regular season.
Yeah,
but
they
he
lost
has
on Sunday Night
beaten them
Football
in the
to them
postseason.
when they were undefeated.
What's his record? How many times has he played him?
0-2. Which again doesn't matter because the one time he played them in the postseason, he beat them. But just a fun fact. Just a fun fact there.
That's funny.
I was gonna say Josh Allen, just because I feel like that. I mean, if I put myself in a Chiefs fan's shoes, that would be the guy I'm most scared of. Mainly just because of how many times the Chiefs have beaten him is what would scare me. If Joe Burrow beat him in the playoffs, I'd be like, okay, well, now we got that out of our way. But I'd just be like, look, we keep beating this guy, but he only has to like beat us once for every other fan base to jump on us. I would just be scared about that.
I have 2 words for you.
Give him
13 seconds.
This is another year.
That's all it takes.
I'm just saying. If you're beating someone and they're getting closer, that would be the one that I would be the most scared of.
Until they unseat us, I'm not. I mean, yeah, Lamar Jackson is terrifying to me, especially because of his running ability. Josh Allen, running ability, amazing. Like, they're all incredible, but the only team that's actually beat the Chiefs in the playoffs is Mahomes has lost 2 playoff games not in the Super Bowl. So he's lost 4 total playoff games in his career. Brady, Burrow, and now Hurts. That's pretty insane. Miss me with Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, gosh.
Well, Garoppolo, Garoppolo's going to
Overthrew Sanders. It's crazy.
Yeah. Your question there, I think if we just stick to the quarterbacks, the answer is Josh Allen. But if you go to the whole team, it's got to be the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens scare me more than the Bills would if I'm the Chiefs. But Josh Allen scares me more than Lamar Jackson, pure quarterback-wise.
Yeah.
The problem is that Lamar Jackson's, obviously they are vastly different quarterbacks, but for talent level and scramblability, if that's a word, making it up, trademark that, scramblability between them, Jackson's got the closest thing to Mahomes, who can move around and then still throw the ball. Now, granted, when Jackson runs around, he's not looking to throw the ball anymore, where Mahomes is. If he starts running around, he's going to run around the backfield and try to get the ball as far downfield as he can. And somehow, somebody's always open. His defense is incredibly difficult. So I think I like the Ravens better than the Bills. I also like the Ravens better than the Bills because the Ravens play in a harder division. And so they have tougher regular season competition than the Bills do because, as we already mentioned, the AFC East is soft. It's been soft forever. It just is a different team in power now. It used to be the Patriots when the Bills were soft, and now it's the Bills when the other teams are soft.
Yeah, 2 things. Well, one, scramblability. Just looked it up. Not a word, so you can trademark that.
Trademark TM.
Happy for you. Second, to your point on them playing in a harder division, I think they're way more refined, and also Derrick Henry is still somehow just a Yeti. He's incredible. I love Derrick Henry so much. Like Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray on the Titans when we were, I guess, younger, it was just an incredible duo. Also DeMarco Murray as a Cowboy, incredible. Shout out to the Cowboys.
Until he fumbled in that Packers game.
Yeah, but
was that the playoffs?
I do think this last year
it was.
The Ravens were struggling to finish off games.
To catch the ball to tie the game.
Right. Like they lost to the Bills in the playoffs, narrow margins, but like it seemed like they were running out of gas to get there. I was frankly thankful that the Bills beat the Ravens because I had all the confidence that we were going to beat the Bills, and I put a pretty solid wager on it, and thankfully that came through for me. I also lost a decent wager on the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl, and we won't talk too much about that.
If you don't ride with your team, you're not a real fan.
Yeah,
even when they're bad, you just make smaller bets.
Yeah. But no, I mean, all 3 of those teams are the 3 biggest threats, and I don't know if there's anybody yet that can make the case to be up in that tier. So
I think to go on with that, the AFC West, I know we said we were moving away from it, but the AFC getting better is actually a good thing for the Chiefs. Just like the Ravens, when you play a harder competition in the regular season, it makes you more refined for the postseason. And so the Broncos and Chargers both getting better benefits the Chiefs because you have to, even though they may not care about the regular season, you still have to win your division. They still want the first round bye. So they may not care, but they still want these accolades. And so when your division gets better, you have to play better. And so it just makes your team better overall.
Yeah. So speaking to 2 Cowboys fans and 1 nomad lost in Alabama somewhere, knowing what you know now, if you could re-pick your favorite team as a child and stick through and be a fan of that team now through all the years, early 2000s, mid-2000s, and up until now, who would you re-pick as your favorite team?
Patriots.
Really?
Yeah, they won 6 Super Bowls.
Okay. I'm surprised by that because, like, I can't, like, even if I grew up there, I would feel like I would have to constantly defend my team, and I wouldn't be proud of them. You know what I mean?
If the Cowboys won 6 Super Bowls, I would be proud. I would be very proud.
So
Just like I'm sure you are that the Chiefs have won 3.
Yeah, but I also feel like not earned it. That's not the right word. But like Avery said, I went through the
Earned
ringer
it. Yeah.
Right.
for
But
all the years.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
made
yeah.
fun of me.
but Joel became a Cowboys fan in 2000, right?
It was kind of the same deal with Joel as it was
Probably
with Lincoln. He just
yeah.
kind of chose one. It was like probably heavily influenced by Will, but it wasn't like he was like, what's the best team? What's the safe pick? It was kind of just more
Well,
either
more than
happenstance
Dallas.
or convenience, but it wasn't any sort of,
Right.
Homer type of bandwagon.
I don't know if I were to re-pick. Right, I was born in '93. I started really watching football probably around '99, 2000, right when the Patriots were about to just take off, and nobody knew that yet. I don't think Patriots is a bad pick. Now, granted, you're going through it right now, but I mean, almost all the teams are right now, except for the Chiefs and Eagles. I have never once thought about not being a Cowboys fan. Actually, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. Some of these years, it's like, oh, should I just pick a new team? I mean, at this point, I can't. Everybody knows I'm a Cowboys fan. You can't just pick now. If I were to re-pick based on what I know now,
Yeah, Avery, do you have a team?
I mean, I have a best guess, but the thing is, I still haven't picked a team just because I'm a college guy. I just see it as like, look, you're playing for the love of the game here. These guys are playing professionally. This is their job. I don't have a favorite company, And the one thing about professional ball that like kind of bugs me is I get attached to the players. The players are who I like. And it would break my heart if I'm on, if I have these favorite players are on this team and they leave and go to my rival. Like that would bug me. And it's kind of what college basketball and football is turning into a little bit with the transfer portal nonsense.
Worse.
So it's insanely frustrating. But if I were to choose, I've always weirdly had this affinity for the Saints.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think it was probably fantasy. Like fantasy is usually what got me into like a certain player or team. I really like Drew Brees. I really like. I mean, we made those shirts. The Darren Sharper, Dare to be Sharper. Yeah, I made that in my class. We just needed to make some little stenciled shirt. But I really like them. I like their uniforms. I like the players they had. Love Taysom Hill. I mean, that's not really much of a factor, but I love them. So probably Saints. Yeah.
It's not a bad pick. Will, did you figure it out?
no. I'd probably still be a Cowboys fan.
All right. Let's end with this question, and this is specifically for you, Lincoln. I want you to give us one reason why the Chiefs will go back to the Super Bowl and one reason why they won't go back to the Super Bowl.
One reason they will?
Yeah.
3 words. Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
His middle name is LeVon.
It is. Named after his godfather, who was
LeVar.
a longtime MLB pitcher.
Shout out Avery.
Yeah.
I was named after a pitcher for the Braves.
David?
Avery. Steve Avery.
Steve,
or the
actually.
Young Guns.
I thought you were named after the boy who took down Goliath.
That too. That's secondary. It wasn't
okay.
as important as the Young Gun. Yeah.
No, the reason that-
game. Well, who does that? Who names their child after a player and then not once ever even suggests, hey, why don't we go see Braves game? We named you after that. Not once ever.
It's fantastic. The main reason is Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, the two of them are the rocks that carry the Chiefs. I'm such a homer for Mahomes, and I will always be, but I'm also just like amazed by his work ethic. Like, he trains to be able to do the crazy things that he does. And that's just what's so incredible about him. I love him as a person. I hate his wife. I hate his brother, but I am obsessed with him. So that's the biggest reason. The reason that they won't is health and or Josh Allen finally figures out how to beat him in the playoffs. Those are the 2 reasons.
Not Burrow?
I don't think the Bengals have it this year in terms
Burrow
of
needs his defense to step up first.
they didn't do anything to build their they drafted a bunch of defensive players, but I just don't think that they have it quite yet. But those are the 2 things for me. So
what about I'm curious just on that. Do you think the AFC West poses a serious threat to you guys not winning the Super Bowl?
Not this year.
Okay.
Do you think they pose a threat to you not being the 1 seed?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a legitimately fair point to make right there. The 1 seed, as you know, is so huge. And that's why I love that the NFC North was so tough, and why, Will, you're like, yeah, it's a good thing for the Chiefs to have a tough division. But also at the same time, it does make it harder to get the 1 seed if you're in a tough division. Yep. Yes, you're going to be more refined. Like, that's just how it works. But it is going to make it harder for them to be at the top of the AFC, because that's a free playoff win. It's a free win. It really is. It is such a disadvantage to all the other teams 2 through 7 that don't get a free playoff win. Like, it is what it is. So it's a legitimate question, Joel, and I think that I am a little bit more nervous this year in terms of how much the AFC West is going to beat up on the Chiefs, but I still have full confidence that they are going to take down the division.
All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. The Raiders are winning the AFC West. So
put it on spreadsheet. Put it on spreadsheet.
There you go.
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to Wendy, Mona, and Ellen, as well as Margie. Love you, ladies. You're amazing. Go hug your moms and buy them some nice flowers.
You think my mom watches this show?
Awesome.
You think my mom watches this crap?
She does now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, that's all we have time for today. We want to say thank you again to Lincoln, our childhood friend, for coming on. We appreciate you being on our show. We loved having you, and we would gladly welcome you back anytime you want to be on the show. So thank you for coming on and giving us your takes on the Chiefs. That's all we have time for today. Stay tuned for more next week. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. Thank you, Lincoln. We will see you next time.
Caught on.